Yes, it is. And spawning down in the bottom right position, representing Team Liquid, the Horsemen, it is XD uThermal. Mark Schlapp.
And in the upper left, in the blue for Team Oplan, he is not the state, not the city, but the player, Denver.
And it is important to note, we're seeing a gas pool out of Denver. Do you... So this is crazy to say because the concept of it is just ludicrous. But we could actually see a Ling Bane all-in off this. We could actually see just like 19 drones, give or take. Ling Bane all-in could also be a Roach Ling all-in. Roach Ravager Ling all-in. This is for something most likely. Do you think, though, it's just a defensive response to a potential proxy, Rex?
And this is Reactor first into CC first here from uThermal. I don't know if this is going to, I don't know the timing that Denver's looking for. Okay, it's going to be speed underway. Is he mining more? Yeah, he's not. This is just for really quick speed. He's not mining any more gas. I kind of expected to see a Roach Warden, actually. I could see some version of the Railgun build, but no. This is just really quick speed, and that actually means that uThermal's probably not going to get punished all that hard.
No, he won't. Reactor first does actually do very well against very quick all-ins, uThermal said in the Team Liquid map contest. Now, uThermal's already seen that there's no additional gas mining, and that's going to tell him basically all he needs to know, that this is just chilling. Now, we could potentially see a big swell of Zerglings to try and cancel the command center, but it's already too late for that. And we've got a bunker coming down from uThermal just as insurance. Meanwhile, 3 racks coming in from Maru Thermal.
Are you sure this isn't TVP?
Right? I personally, I'm not a huge fan of the 3 rack setup, but in general, it can be very, very powerful.
And I mean, so we have 10 Zerglings underway here, but these are just Zerglings that are meant to catch anything, right? They're going to time out with speed. I don't even know if Denver runs across the map with these. It's not really that much of a damage opportunity. Now, the Overlord does not catch the fact that there are additional barracks here. They are, of course, hiding behind the position that this Overlord can find its way on into, and the Marines are doing a good job of defending that. But now Zerglings, they're going to sit outside here. The goal, I think, is to catch any potential Hellions before speed is done. Right, the speed timing is, of course, 3:30, and these are done at 3 minutes. Hey, they're going to catch a fresh mule. That's going to be fantastic. 250 minerals down the drain, just like that. But the big thing is they don't know what's happening here. They're going to try to find some more workers, but I feel like with this build that uThermal is going for, Denver just needs to drone up as hard as he can and keep these Zerglings alive so he can hold off the ensuing push.
I mean, it's such a small commitment to Zerglings. They've already basically paid for themselves by getting that mule. Not quite, but if they, I'm kind of disappointed he didn't get that second SCV, or well, I guess first SCV. Would have been a really, really big pick off. The big thing I think is Denver needs to recognize it and do exactly what he. Wow, I literally just looked at the natural and it just happened to be exactly where he threw down the Baneling nest. That was very fortunate observing right there. He needs exactly this, a Baneling nest. A Baneling nest, he needs to know that it's coming, build a couple of Banelings, and as long as your creep spread is pretty decent, you should have no problem holding this off.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's still the chance here that uThermal, when we talk about his shenanigans, when we talk about his gameplay, one thing we didn't talk about as much, we probably should have, he's got impeccable micro, right? In order to pull off shenanigans like this, you do have to have fantastic army control. So now, well, we're going to have to see him use that to its fullest extent. How many Zerglings do we have on the field right now? Only 4. So yes, the Baneling nest is done. And now Denver's got the scout up. So 14 more Zerglings are on the way. And actually, how many queens do we have? We have 6 queens as we get more and more Zerglings. We have Banelings underway. This looks like Denver's going to have everything that he needs to make the hold happen. But just because he has it doesn't mean it's going to work on out. As now Denver's going to move on in. Of course, he is going to hold his stim as long as he can. Certainly, he's going to wait until combat shield is done. That's going to be the time as he goes on in here into the middle line. 3 workers are going to go down. 5 workers are going to go down. The target fire there on top of all of the Banelings means that all of these Zerglings die as well. And yes, the queens, they're going to do what they can. Marines are flagging on their battle drugs. But 13 workers, 2 queens, all the Banes, all the Lings. What do you think, Steadfast? Was that worth it?
Absolutely, absolutely worthwhile. Battle report shows us that 400 resources more were lost for Denver, but that is not true because 3 Banelings also went down. So it's actually more than what the battle report shows us. That was so good for uThermal. Really, really great. And now he's going to +1, just a single NG bay, adding on a starport. I think this is going to be a 2-base all-in.
I would not be surprised. This is actually something I've seen more and more often, like the single upgrade into whatever. And yeah, as you point out, we got Burrow underway. But more importantly than Burrow oh, never mind, we have a lair. I'm like, oh, more importantly than Burrow, we don't have a lair. But no, a lair is done. In the natural, interestingly enough, now maybe Denver was thinking that uThermal was going to stim on into the natural, and maybe giving that the natural a little bit more HP was going to be useful later on. I don't know. But certainly here, uThermal's going to look to move out on the map. He will have +1 eventually, and he's going to have tanks. This is going to be the path on that. And yeah, you're absolutely right here. It's a 2.5 base all in, right? We got 2 additional barracks on the way, grand total of 5. We do have our 3rd base. Not just going to be on 2 bases.
Likely we'll see a 2nd engineering bay and an armory come down. I'd love to see him go into 2-1 upgrades as opposed to just getting the, single armor upgrade and then adding on a 2nd NG bay. Maybe the resources don't line up, but he does have a fair bit of gas, so I think he would be able to afford that. That being said, it is going to be initially just a drop for now. Looks like an Overseer did get a scout on everything, which is really great info. And also, that was a kind of a big stim right there, a little bit.
I mean, we're going to have enough medevacs soon that I don't think it's really going to be a big deal. Oh, look at this. Denver baiting out the 4th base. Actually, this is really cool. So notice 4th base is already just about done here in the next second or so on the north side of the map. So what does Denver do? He sends a drone down on the other side of the map. He says, yes, I see where your drop is. Let me convince you that you've just denied my 4th base. Let me convince you that I'm in a worse spot than I actually am. And I don't know if this is going to matter. In the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to have the impact in this game that Denver may be looking for. But certainly, it's a cool little move. And we're going to have to see. Now, we do have uThermal getting ready to take his 3rd base here. His +1 armor is now underway. You talked about wanting to see 2-1 instead of just additional armor. That's not going to happen. We are hitting... uThermal's army supply is growing dramatically, or it will start too soon as we have 5 barracks producing here. How many tanks do we have? 2 tanks, going up to 3, and the Liberators as well. This is going to be a tremendously powerful push here from uThermal, and even better, there's no creep on the high ground. Oh, the burrowed Banelings are not going to get anything done either.
Oh, and I'm kind of glad they didn't because I didn't even realize they were there. But uThermal, he figured that out. Nice move from Denver, by the way. Coming in for a big flank, going to be cutting off reinforcements and threatening a huge surround on this. Now, the Liberators make this very complicated, and there's a big army value lead, or army supply lead. But we are going to see a lot of the army taking place on creep. Banelings trying to come in from the back. Not going to be enough. But now Zergling's coming from the front. Liberators are going to stand strong. Multiple Queens just went down. 2 Queens and 3 Hydras. These Liberators are a huge problem.
That they are. They just make the rally here between the bases of Denver so much more difficult. And there are no Banelings on the map anymore, Steadfast. Yes, 3 more are underway, but +1 is not yet done. So, well, actually, 1's not yet done, and that's just going to do it. GG Denver. Just like that. He makes it look easy. He takes game 1.
Very well played right there by uThermal. That was really, really nice. And he also wins on his opponent's map pick. That is a big deal. Very, very big deal. And that's big money for him right there. He's going to be real happy with that. And now we go into Oxide. And 2 base pushes. Not the strongest on Lightshade. Incredibly powerful on Oxide. So difficult to deal with.
You're not true, and I love it. It doesn't have anything to do with this game, by the way, but my cats heard me cast, or our cats heard me casting and yelling, and I hear them cat sting in the background too. They're just I stopped talking for a second. I hear meow 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 meow. So for what it's worth, folks, I don't think we'll be able to get them on camera, but our cats they're helping me. They're casting StarCraft 2. I'm dying. It's fine. Steadfast, help me.
No worries, no worries. We are heading into game 2 with uThermal looking really good here. And as I said, if he wins this match, he gives himself a shot at top 2 in the group. It's going to come down to Vanya versus Lil Bao. Lil Bao is eliminated, but he is going to be fighting for that 125 USD, no doubt. So this is a very important series right here. uThermal also, with a win here, guarantees himself at worst top 3 in this group. But of course, the big deal would be leapfrogging to top 2. Now, while we're here, while we're waiting, where can the good people find you there, Mr. Beowulf?
Why, thank you. you want to find me in the next like 10 seconds before we get into this game, twitch.tv/Bamwolf. But also follow my Twitter because I stream all over the place. Alpha X here, which is awesome. But Steadfast, can you shout out before I take us into game? Can you do that?
Absolutely. You can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/steadfastsc2. That's where I announce when I'll go live. And that's it. I think it's somewhere on the broadcast or something. Either way, we're getting into game number 2.
That we are.
And here we go. Spawning down in the bottom left position. The blue Zerg player from Team Oplon. It is Denver. Also known as the other Clément from France.
And in the upper right, in the red up 1-0 in this series, he is, for Team Liquid, uThermal.
uThermal. Love it. So it's so fun. It's so fun and silly. We are going to be seeing another standard-ish opening here, but will we see more of that reactor first? uThermal has always been an innovator, always done what he wants. Inventor of many builds. If you haven't seen his YouTube yet, it's a good place for Terrans to kind of figure out different ways to play.
You know, I'm kind of sad almost that uThermal does that because it just makes my ladder experience that much more difficult. You know, we only need the Zerg content creators that tell me how to win my games. We don't need the Protoss and Terran content creators that tell other people how to make me lose my games. But anyways, yeah, you're right. It is going to be a reactor first once again here from uThermal. And here's the question, Steadfast. Of course, each player only has to play for the most part. I mean, we did see some scheduling move around with Koss and Stefano, but each player, for the most part, only plays one game every day, or one series every day. So they have about 24 hours to prep for each successive opponent in this format. So the question with that being, is this reactor first build, is this something that uThermal thinks is good against all Zergs? Like, this is how he thinks the matchup should be played? Or is this a specific response to how he has scouted and prepared for Denver?
I think it might be a specific response to Denver. That being said, we're going to be seeing another 3 racks out of uThermal here. I mean, it got a lot done in that previous game. Denver did have the money at the time to build more than the 3 Banelings. He had enough gas for 7 in total, but elected to play a little bit greedy. He did lose a lot of drones, lost a lot of lings, lost those 3 Banelings, I think he even lost 1 or 2 queens.
2 queens.
Yeah, it was incredible damage for uThermal. So, I mean, it worked game 1. Why not give it another try?
Now,
Denver's probably not expecting it.
That being said, of course, I think Denver is Ooh. What I was going to say was, before we have that Evo chamber go down, I think Denver is in a much better position to make that hold happen in this game than the previous because he opened up a lot greedier. Right? His speed is still going to be done, right? That timing hit, I want to say like right around 4:30. 4:35 minutes is when that speed time, or when that stim timing hits. He's going to have speed regardless, whether it is at 3 or 3:30. And by getting all these drones earlier, by getting all this gas earlier potentially, well, that does mean that he's going to be in a better spot to hold. That being said, of course, all that goes out the window because, you know, we got +1 armor on the way, and +1 armor may be done by the time the push happens.
It's going to be pretty close, actually. Denver does scout the number of Marines, and that should give him a decent little tip-off here. Now, fun fact, by the way, against Clem, when he beat Clem with ZVT, he did it with aggressive moves. Now, it was +1 melee on this map, but he was able to make a whole lot happen with a very, very aggressive +1 melee timing. Banelings, by the way, benefit so much from +1 melee. He got 2 Banelings connecting on like 6 Hellions and killed them all.
Ooh.
It was absolutely nuts.
The way I see it almost, right? You get melee if you're trying to be aggressive, right? You're trying to bust through walls, you're trying to knock things down, force the Terran into positions where they don't want to be. And at that point, well, you don't have to worry about making your connections onto the army nearly as much. But if you're playing defensive like this and you have them stimming on in, you want to make sure those connections happen. And you also understand, well, I'm talking myself out of this because if you're on creep, even slow Banelings will be able to move faster. And then maybe you need +1 attack is going to be better for you because you're actually going to have a better shot about getting onto those units, and then you'll benefit from +1 attack. Of course, +1 armor is nice because it guarantees more Banelings actually make contact with the army of uThermal. And also, you talked about adjustments. You talked about only being 3 Banelings, but he had money for more. Well, we have 6 Banelings underway now. And as long as he's able to hold off Denver or uThermal a little bit, I think +1 Carapace is going to be done in time. Now, not for this first push, but maybe depends on how long uThermal waffles around a little.
Yeah, we're talking 10 seconds right here. It is actually so down to the wire, but uThermal, he's not going to commit in. He is not going to... Oh, but if he catches these Zerglings, would have been really nice, but not going to be able to do so. And now +1 Carapace finishes. +1 melee is on the way. And that +1 Carapace is going to be so helpful against this additional 2-base all-in that we're going to see out of uThermal once again. Couple of Lings getting intercepted, but not the big deal. I love this setup here from uThermal. If Denver just blindly fakes checks the ramp, he could get a very, very bad surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, Steadfast, that was not a 2-base all-in. It was like a 2.5 base all-in. There was a third base behind that uThermal was mining. So not the end of the world. I mean, granted, he won with it, and it looked good, and he did the damage earlier, but I don't know that... The 2-base, I think the 2.5 base all-in is still going to be powerful because uThermal did not commit with his army. If he committed in, if he lost it all, oh my goodness, Denver is in a wonderful position. He's probably going to win the game. But much like we see Terran players do often when they see the Protoss player has gone for heavy Zealot tech against this similar idea, if you sit back and you just tool up for the next attack, that amount of supply that you've been able to get just by building all these Marines, building all your production so much earlier, it means that your next attack is probably still going to be even more powerful than maybe the opponent, the Protoss player, the Zerg player is expecting. But of course, supplies work a little bit differently in this matchup, right? You have the ability to really put yourself in to massively get a bunch of workers if you held a bunch of Ling Bane if you just make that happen, right? As long as you have enough larva. And of course, Ling Bane is by far the most cost-effective, the most supply-efficient unit in the game on a creep. And oh, look at this flank that Denver has setting on up here. I think uThermal is... Oh, he's going to see some of the last stitches of the scan. Are going to see a couple Zerglings on the right-hand side. That may tell him all that he needs to know in terms of positioning.
Oof, that friendly fire killing a Marine right there. +1 is finished now for Denver, just in time for the attack and Bane speed. Only one tank here. Nice surround coming in from Denver. He is going to get some big Baneling detonations, takes out the tank. What a great fight. And now the Queen's in position. Oh. They kill off a fully loaded medevac. Oh, that was huge out of Denver. Absolutely monstrous play.
Yeah, absolutely there. Denver, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. I will not be fooled here in this game. Denver doing everything that he needs to do to make sure that he's in a wonderful spot. He sat here on like 58 workers, not fully saturating his third base for the longest time because honestly, it's just Ling Bane. You don't need that many gases to make sure that you support it, especially if you're going single Evo like Denver is. But now that he's pushed this off, now that he has absolutely crushed this bit of aggression here from uThermal, it means that maybe he can be aggressive on his own because he knows he killed a tank. And the wall is down. uThermal, he's not putting it up in time, but hey, those are some juicy tank shots. Actually, this is not going to be as bad as I thought it was.
No, not that bad, but he will pick off a good number of Marines, picks off a tank right there. This is a scenario where actually having Burrow would have been incredibly beneficial. uThermal, he's actually going to lose both tanks at the front. Denver got on top of those tanks, takes them both out. That actually makes that going from a kind of bad trade for Denver to, I would say, a really, really good one.
Yeah, it's maybe not the most cost efficient.
Actually, definitely not cost efficient, but yeah, context of the game, very good.
Exactly. I mean, we've seen, this brings to mind DRG games, right? DRG versus Innovation from late last year is what I think of. We're like, yeah, DRG, he loses his bases. He's, being pushed hard. But every time he takes an engagement, he knocks down, he resets the Terran tank count. And that means that, well, the Terran push is not going to be nearly as powerful. You don't have those linchpin units, those tanks, those Widow Mines that prevent just the massive Ling Bane swarm on in that causes so many problems. In Dota, actually, Steadfast, I don't know if you follow that esport at all, but there is an axiom that people talk about. As yeah, we're going to have 2-2 versus 1-1 for quite a while here. There's an axiom that people talk about where it's like, okay, look, your lead, if you cannot go high ground, your lead is false. In this game, if you cannot end the game, or if you cannot do if you cannot increase your lead is false. Right? You can't, it doesn't matter if you're up a little bit of economy. If you don't have the tanks that you need and you cannot push, the Zerg is going to find a way back into that game.
Yeah, I like that point. And also, I love Dota 2. Great game. One of my favorite esports out there. The strategic depth and complexity is unrivaled. It's actually insane. There's so much knowledge to that game. It's very, very cool. And I think that's a great point. How real is your lead really. You know, like it's the same concept of like Zerg's on 90 drones, Terran's on 65 SCVs, but Terran has mules. Do you have an economy lead? Not really. You know, it's good, but it's not actually a big one. That being said, nice creep tumor pickoffs coming out of uThermal. Denver did add on Burrow. You mentioned earlier the 2-2 timing is much better for Denver. It is gigantic. If he had gotten an earlier hive, he could have gone right into 3-3 and be looking at a really, really strong situation. As it is, I think uThermal is going to do basically a 3-base all-in right here.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine, yeah, he's moving out right now. At least he's bringing his army together. But I would almost expect to see, you know, this is going to be timed up with 2-2 and a max out. Not exactly what he's doing right now, but looks like, is he moving to secure a fourth base? He's certainly moving on into the right-hand side. Yeah, okay, fourth base is underway. I almost feel like this is a bit of an anti-timing here from uThermal. I mean, yes, as a Terran player, you want to be aggressive. You want to exert your pressure on the map. And I love, oh, the burrowed Banes.
Oh,
is he going to see?
No.
Oh, he doesn't have the scan. Oh, God, Denver. Oh. And the second one.
Oh, and another one.
Oh, God.
Get it. Oh, he's so close. Oh, my God. He could have just wiped out the whole army right there. As it is, he got about half of it, and now he's counterattacking the Banelings from Denver. The huge plays. He's going to deny the command center. Kills it, no cancel. Same thing on that sensor tower. Denver, in game number 2, strikes back with a vengeance.
He really is, man. I was really rooting for those second set of Banes, but what this means now is when uThermal looks to make a push on the high ground, there are going to be those Banelings there that will be able to unburrow and kill off the rest of it. But look at this surround that Denver is setting on up. He has 2-2. He's going to have another upgrade lead for like 5 seconds more, but that looks like that is going to clear on up now. Hive is underway, so +3, it's not going to be nearly as nice. And the one thing here we got to talk about with uThermal, how in the world do you break this position? It is 3 tanks hidden behind things. There are liberators as well, and this is the answer. You don't break it. You say, look, I know your army is elsewhere. I'm just going to go kill off your third base as well, and the Baneling connections as well. The base is going to go down if the Hydras are targeting it down. There we go, the base. There is no repair here. The third base of uThermal falls, and he's going to have to do so much more now. Denver can honestly let this base go if he doesn't feel like he can hold it. Doesn't really matter.
He should absolutely transfer drones to this left side. No reason to fight here. That being said, he might still be able to deal with it. He is going to pull the queens forward, and that's going to be enough to actually deal with these liberators. I think one of them goes down. A lot of queens falling. Never mind. Hang on. The tanks on the left side, or the right side, getting huge damage. All the queens save for 2 go down. uThermal just took a really good fight. Still, he is in a horrible situation, and I don't know how he's going to make it work.
I mean, I like, especially now adding on this Viper, that is a clumped tank force there. You run on in, you run your Viper, you drop one blinding cloud. Suddenly this position from uThermal is not going to be all that great. But I mean, Denver just keeps running into the meat grinder. There are 3 tanks firing away. They have +1. And
25 kills, 25 kills, 21, and now it's so much more. But uThermal, as a counterattack's coming in on the other side of the map, he's forced to tap out. Denver takes game number 2.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. I like the idea, right? Like, oh yeah, this is such a strong siege up position, but it doesn't matter if you have no economy behind it. It doesn't matter if your army supply is falling down. It doesn't matter if you're down 70 supply. Money talks steadfast, both in this world and in StarCraft. And Denver, he's got a loud voice.
Yeah, he that was such great play from Denver for like all of that game. Even some really good moves towards the end, but as he like refused to acknowledge the strength of that position, he took some really bad fights. Didn't matter. He put himself in way too good of a position. Those burrowed Banes were actually just game winning. They were so good. If it wasn't for those Banes, my God.
Oh no, 100%. That and you say that Denver refused to acknowledge the strength of that position, and in some ways, absolutely, right? He was engaging on into that from one position. I'm like, Denver, what are you doing? On the flip side, it was brilliant to not engage with the strength of that position, to not acknowledge it, because that was also what he was doing. He was running across the map. He said, look, you have this strong position. I refuse to acknowledge it. I'm gonna go kill your third base. I'm gonna go kill, not cancel your fourth as it's building. And that now means that Denver looked dominant. Both players have taken their opponent's map picks thus far in this series, and now we're into 2000 atmospheres, a map that when we were setting the series up, I was kind of thinking might favor Denver a little bit. I don't know if that is still the case, considering we've been talking about how things have gone. It feels like Denver has looked better the shorter the map has been. Oxide, of course, is a bit shorter than Lightshade, Now we're going to see a map in a totally different paradigm. Lightshade and Oxide are actually pretty similar maps. 2,000 atmospheres, not as much.
They are on the shorter side, definitely, and that makes 2-base all-ins a lot more powerful. This map is a lot larger, and I think you're right. I don't think we can really see that, but we'll have to see. There is a possibility, as we've got spawning up in the top right position, representing Team Liquid. He is the man from the Netherlands. It is Mark uThermal Schlappy.
And in the bottom left, in the blue for Team Oplan. Can he take this series right here, right now? He is Denver.
You know, I'm a little bit surprised we didn't see uThermal at all in this series go for a proxy Rax. I would have liked to have seen it, but I'm also surprised that we saw a 2-base all-in, basically the same build. Well, okay, sorry, it was the 3 racks into the... You're right, it's not a 2-base all-in entirely, but it does have to get a lot done. It's a 2.5 base all-in, as I think a good way of putting it. I'm surprised we didn't see more out of that. Like, I'm surprised we didn't see like a little bit of a twist, a little bit of something different. The thing is, he got into such a nasty position, such a strong position on that 4th base of Denver, but even with that, like, even if the burrowed banelings hadn't been what they were, Denver still had that option of doing exactly what he did, which is just counterattacking and putting his opponent completely all in.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about 2 racks potentialities. I think it's kind of smart here that Denver hasn't, because notice game number 1, I mean, we're not seeing that in the next 2 games, but in game number 1, Denver opened pool first. Actually, he opened gas first, technically, but if you do that and you show your opponent that you have a tendency to do that build is within your wheelhouse, suddenly it makes any sort of proxy barrack situation just a lot less exciting. All right, you go and you're like, oh yes, I'm gonna 2 racks. Oh, what's the chance that they're gonna 12 pool or they're gonna 15 pool me? And it's not gonna happen, and I'm gonna lose everything. And not only am I going to not get any damage done, yes, because 2 racks is kind of a macro opener, at least it can be more of a aggressive timing than any sort of all in. But if you lose everything like that, you get no damage done, and then maybe you have to deal with repairs on the other side of the map. That is just going to be fantastic there for the Zerg players. This Reaper is getting rather aggressive, but hey, you know what? There's a reason that we don't tend to talk about it. The Spore Cancel is going to be fantastic. Denver, he's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't even lose any Zerglings right there. Ooh, uThermal's doing a nice job of kind of ghosting this Queen's movement, shadowing it a little bit, and gonna go after that Creep Tumor. Oh, and he gets it. That's a huge deal. Very nice snipe right there.
That actually is so massive here, because that means now it's going to be a little bit longer to establish any sort of creep spread to the 3rd base. And Steadfast, we talked about it being the same game, 2 games in a row, give or take. Yeah, minor variations, but close enough. And game number 3 here, it's 1-1-1 into a 3rd base. This is 3CC play coming. Actually, I'm sorry, this was 1-1 into the 3rd command center. This is 3CC play here from uThermal. And you know what? I love this. I love the series planning here. You do 2 games of the same build. You show yourself to be incredibly aggressive, and then you say, look, on the bigger map, not even doing it, don't worry about it. I'm going to get myself in a macro lead. And now Denver, because uThermal has done the same thing 2 times in a row, has been as aggressive as he is, has to bias himself towards defending those aggressive options. He has to do things. Maybe he's not going to get, maybe he's going to get gas a little bit faster. Whatever it is, that makes life so much more difficult for the French Zerg player. That being said, Reaper was going to dive on in. Shouldn't get much done, but hey, it's a scout at the very least.
Yeah, and look at this, Denver. He's playing the same style he has so far.
There we go.
Oh, that was cute. I like that. He actually cancels the Baneling Nest in response to seeing quick Viking, seeing that quick 3rd command center. I love this. I love this so much. And it's also really nice because it was just after uThermal scouted it. So that means uThermal is going to be thinking that Denver's position is a little worse than it is. And I think Denver... he might go for like a 3-hatch mutaplay right here. He's getting 4 gases.
Yeah, that's kind
of
of
what do you think of that move?
That's what it's looking like, and also no Evo chambers on the way. So yeah, that's exactly what that's looking like here. I kind of like it. There's a decent amount of dead airspace on the map here for uThermal, or for Denver here. We're talking about mutaplay. It is a 3CC play, and traditionally 2-base muta, for example, is strong when 3CC. is strong. When that is the prevailing meta, when we start to see more Heli and Banshee and 2-on-1, well, really 2-on-1s are the thing, enter the meta back again. That's why all of a sudden we don't see 2-base muta anymore. And yeah, 3-base muta is not 2-base muta. We will see the mutas go down somewhere closer to 630 is when we'll see them in the production tab, 637 minutes. But still, right, uThermal is only just now adding on his additional barracks. He has 3 now. He's going to get 5 in a second. He's not going to have the bulk of Marines by the time that these mutas pop out that he might otherwise have. And that means that maybe these mutas can punish a little bit more, dive around the significant amounts of dead airspace that they have. And also with how much dead air there is in the middle of the map, right, with the rocks and the spires and everything else, if Denver wins a fight, he's going to have a lot more opportunities with these mutas to chase down medevacs before they can drop on off, get those Marines out, and maybe shoot the mutas away. So, yes, I like that here, especially like with considering how the build that Denver has, or that uThermal has chosen this game. I think it's going to match up pretty well for Denver.
I think it's going to go pretty well for him. I will say the Widow Mines can be very, very strong for uThermal here. He's already gone up to 2 Widow Mines. He's adding on additional ones. We don't see a second factory just yet. That'll be the next decision point as to whether we see that or like an 8 racks all in. Ooh, Viking going down before it could scout the Spire. That is pretty nice for Denver being able to wipe that out and not going to randomly run into the mutas somewhere on the map. So that's actually a pretty big advantage. And uThermal, he's got no idea about these mutas. He has not thrown down any turrets. This looks really good to me for Denver right now.
Yeah, it really does. 8 mutas are going to be the name of the game here to start. We're going to have to see just how hard Denver commits them. As I say that, of course, he got +1 air underway, so he's going to commit to them a decent amount. Now, uThermal attacking on the right-hand side is going to time out with his 1-1 and eventually with his combat shields as well. So that is a powerful timing that he has. Make no mistake about it. He may even be able to cancel the space, but scaling speed is done. There is enough creep here, so that's probably going to be fine. As now the muta is diving onto the other side of the map. This is where life gets a little bit more difficult for uThermal. As you said, he had no idea, but because of the pressure he's putting on the other side of the map here, it is making it so that Denver cannot find the damage that he's looking for. Not yet. He only has so much attention span, and he has to deal with this push on the other side. So only 5 workers go down. Did any mutas die? 5 workers for 1 muta is not exactly what Denver was looking for. Not yet. A second muta will go down here. And yes, uThermal's not doing too much on the other side of the map just yet, but he distracted Denver just long enough that he really saved himself probably about 10 SCVs over the course of like the last 30 seconds.
Great split right there. It was only 1 muta that went down, so actually not that bad. Great split at the last second from Denver right there. He almost took a pretty big Widow Mine shot, but only ends up losing actually 1 unit. Oh, and he finds a Widow Mine. Great micro. I don't even know how he got that second shot. That was so good. That was some really, really crisp, like, muta movement right there. That was slick. That being said, no creep on the right side to defend this base, and the rock still up. I am worried about this push.
Down 20 army supply, but again, you know, it's Bane's on creep does not really matter. But here's the thing: uThermal is hitting before 1-1 is done. They got another 20 seconds left before it becomes extremely topical. As the Banes, they're going to look to roll on in Marines. They're going to get off creep though, and they will be forced on back here. Luckily for uThermal, look at that split with the medevacs. That's actually really cool. And that actually is going to dissuade uThermal from making this engagement happen, or Denver from making this engagement happen, which means more queens are dead. And uThermal, he's starting to find some significant value here.
Yeah, there's only 4 queens on the map right now. 2-2 does start up for Denver here. Ooh, he tries to go for the snipe on that Widow Mine. Not able to get it. uThermal. Oh my god, that Baneling somehow didn't connect. I think he tried to retarget fire, and so it didn't have enough time to actually lock on. The big deal, though, still no creep. And this is going to make engaging here so difficult for Denver. Denver, he is trying to... I would love to see him send some creep tumors to the right here. Maybe try and hit with a flank as well. But he needs to get some creep up on this side. He is so desperate for that. Meanwhile, we've got Drilling Claws off that second factory. Thor coming down. 2-2 about to finish up for uThermal. uThermal has taken the initiative, and he is not letting go.
I gotta say, what I really love here from Denver, he has that spore outside of the 4th base. Not something you normally see all that often, but it actually knocked down a medevac and a half in those last engagements, because when you're just attacking everything, right, you got the Marines and the medevacs in the same control group, the medevacs can go forward, right? They are a little bit faster, and that means that, well, medevacs go down is nice bait there.
I've never seen that. That was 2 changelings that were unmorphed, triggering a Widow Mine.
It's free.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's incredible to me. Oh, these Widow Mines, pretty decent shots. Bailey's get some good connections as well, though, and he is going to be able to take down one Widow Mine, or one Medevac. Oh, wow, that last Widow Mine getting a lot of damage. And,
that's
nice last second split.
That was actually beautiful. And we're looking here, like, okay, you know, he's been able to break on through here. Is he going to be able to put some pressure on the right-hand side? Well, the answer is no, not after those Widow Mine shots. That being said, look at this base that Denver's taking. He's pretty much wholly given up on the, I mean, he still has the bottom. He still has the 6 o'clock position, but the creep spread's not all that great. Feels like he's almost kind of given up on this position. He's just going to wait until the last second. Then he's going to pull his workers away because he's taking a base that I almost never see the bottom left player take in a game like this. That almost feels like it's an upper right base.
I actually love this so goddamn much. It is actually such a strategically brilliant decision because if uThermal really commits to this right side base, even if Denver had been respreading creep and had gotten it back up to this point, by the way, the watchtower sees that and he could have stopped it. This would have been very difficult to deal with. But that being said, we are going to see Denver actually clearing out this right side. I mean, if he can continue to mine from that right side base, he's going to be happy with that.
Nice stutter step coming out of This is drawing the army onto the right-hand side because we have a massive run by into the main and natural as well here. He's talking about strategic brilliance. Denver, he is the modern Sun Tzu. 10 workers go down immediately now. Actually, there are too many banelings. They just have nothing left to kill anymore. 19 workers go down. The 4th base is going to get broken. So much of this army of Denver's going down. And Steadfast, you're talking about strategic brilliance. It is now 170 supply to 100. Denver, has he... Wait, he's not going to get the base. No, he's not. But he's broken uThermal in this game right here, right now.
Yeah, 21 SCVs going down is important to note. uThermal did not pump a whole bunch of workers with this. He did not go up to, 79, 80 SCVs. He was on like 63 SCVs. So losing 21 right there, he doesn't have his gases at this base. He wasn't going to take them at this newest base either. Losing SCVs is catastrophic for him right now. And Denver, he is going to get in here. He's going to try and pick off this base. Ooh, Widowmine will get a pretty big connection. But the SCVs, well, actually... this might be a little bit close. Meanwhile, attack on the right side. This is looking very paltry. Only 2 Widow Mines here.
Now, they will get a queen. That's going to be nice for them. It's funny, you look at the supply, you're like, it's 170 to 100 for a second. Now it's 170 to 140, but the army supplies are not all that different. That being said, uThermal is broke. He is broker than a joke here as what's that? Drop on the left-hand side actually getting a decent amount of money. Yeah, because there's just not enough Baileys here right now. But the point being, uThermal is broke as a joke. He is not able to get into +3. He's not able to get into that next level of tech. And Denver, is he winning the game? Is he ending the game right now? The answer is no. uThermal has been able to kind of reposition himself. He's still on 40 workers, not really reproducing SCVs all that much, but he's in a decent spot. He's actually going to trap all of these mutas. They're going to be hard-pressed to find a way out. But here's the thing. +3 armor is on the way. We have +2 on these mutas, which makes them just so powerful. 10 more mutas on the way. I love that commitment from Denver. But we have the Ultralisk Cavern done. We're gonna have Ultra armor on the way. We're gonna have that Carapace. We're gonna have Chitinous Plating. There we go. We're gonna have Adrenal Glands as well. This army from Denver, not only is he maintaining his supply lead, but it is getting so much bigger. It is getting so much better. It is getting more expensive. And yes, uThermal can take fights now. I don't know that uThermal will be able to take the fight in another minute, right? When Ultras start to hit the field.
Yeah, it is looking very, very desperate trying to go up against an Ultralisk player at this point. He doesn't have his own 3-3. Widowmine, not getting that great of a shot. He doesn't have his own 3-3. It's not on the way. Denver, once he gets Chitinous Plating, like you said, that is going to be kind of a lights out scenario. There's not even that many Marauders. Only 9 Marauders on the field. 1 Thor. 14 Widow Mines. There's nothing that deals with Ultralisks. No Ghost, no tanks, no Liberators. And very few 9 Marauders is not... it's not very few, but it's not enough. It's not enough when that's the only thing. And we've got more burrowed Banelings from Denver.
Also the 1 burrow Zergling just because. Anyway, Banelings are going to look to roll on in here. They get the Planetary. That's what we're looking for. Now, these burrow Banelings, they will be scanned on out. So, maybe not as hype as we might otherwise have hoped. But I like the idea, and now uThermal knows that he needs to spend his money, spend 250 minerals a pop to make sure that Banelings do not kill him. From below, they will not unburrow. And now here's the thing. We have +3 just about done. Chitinous Plating has finished. Ultralisks are on the way, and we talked about this base as if it doesn't really matter. Well, the answer is yes. Denver, once again, he can give this up, but because he is doing damage on the other side of the map here as well. This is a map of run-bys. The third base is getting broken here by Denver once again, as now uThermal is going to come crash down, and he's going to knock the base down. But Steadfast, look at these two fly. He has lost 18 workers. He's down on 30. There's nowhere he can even drop a mule anymore. Right, he doesn't have any mineral lines in the main or natural. It does not matter. uThermal is effectively not mining. He only has 2 mineral patches. And yes, this is his last push in onto the main base, into the natural. But the ultras are here. More lings, more banes come rolling on in. And it's a game of attrition at this point. A game that Denver is destined to win. Steadfast, what a game,